All right. Good morning, Anne Arundel County. Welcome to the Friday delegation meeting, March 14th. We're going to start because we do have some voting and bill discussion before presenters. Mr. Secretary, could you please take the roll call?
Roll call is for the Anne Arundel County Delegation Meeting on 14 March 2025. Vice Chair Simmons.
Present.
Delegate Bagnall.
Here.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Here.
Delegate Baylor.
Present.
Delegate Chang.
Here.
Delegate Chisholm.
Here.
Delegate Howard.
Here.
Delegate Jones is excused today. Delegate Kipke. Delegate Lehman. Delegate Pena-Melnick. Delegate Congolo. Delegate Rogers.
Here.
Delegate Smith. Delegate Smith.
Yes, present.
Chair
Yes.
Pruski.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Before we go into our presentation today, and we do have one bill hearing that was scheduled, we actually have some updates on legislation. And I'm going to begin by speaking on HB 1275, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Constituent Service Liaison Establishment. For those of you that don't know, the letter that was approved by the delegation was sent to the county executive, and there was a response. I don't know if we want to put that up on the screen, but I'm going to let Delegate Howard just. Oh, I apologize. I forgot the player pledge. See, I wanted to get right into business. Trying to move this along because I know people have other things. Delegate Howard, my apologies. I'm going to let you do the pledge and the prayer first, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Everybody stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if everybody just take the posture that they choose for prayer. Lord, we ask you to guide us as we move forward and do the public work of the people. And we ask you for safe travels. We ask you to also please keep Speaker Jones in your protection and your care and your love as her and her family goes through a tremendously hard time. And all of the Lord's people said, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Delegate Howard.
Yeah.
All right. For expediency here, as you know, I was excited to get through this agenda. The reason why there are folks that have to leave for other subcommittees. So I would ask that anybody, if you have questions or the business of the committee, we move swiftly. And I will remind you of that today just because of the economy of what's happening. So let me again begin. Apologies earlier, but thank you, Delegate Howard, for doing it. I'm going to turn it back over to you. HB 1275.
Yep.
Letter was sent. Delegate Howard, I wanted to have you maybe respond here.
Sure. Yeah. So the letter was sent, and quite frankly, I don't mean to be mean, but disregarded. I think we asked for a response by noon on Tuesday. We finally got one last night. Says he's unlikely to fulfill the position. Everybody's seen the video. It's been 7-1 on the board for 3 years to put those positions in play. They don't vote on unfunded mandates, and quite frankly, moving forward, the only way that they're going to get this position is through legislative action. So with that, I would move that we request that we move the bill.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for HB 1275 to move the bill concerning the letter was sent. We got a response. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any further discussion on HB 1275? Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure what bill we're moving because I think it was still in Education Subcommittee. Did we suss out what the bill was asking for in Education Subcommittee?
I will turn to Delegate Lehman or Delegate Howard. My understanding is that the letter was going to be sent
I need the whole
to get a response.
And America's draw.
Delegate Bagnall, I'm waiting if anybody has a response to your question.
So I don't want to speak for the subcommittee chair, of course, But it was my understanding that if we got a negative response or no response at all, that we would be moving the bill, that the bill is not prescriptive, and it gives a lot of latitude to the board to fill the position. And just with a full-time employee, they can choose to the pay. They can choose if they want one or two people. So that's pretty much it. I mean, the bill is not prescriptive at all. It came in future years with a little bit of salaries and those type of things in it. We removed all that language, just replaced it with full-time employee FTE, and left it at the board's discretion, which clearly they won. And for some, one of life's eternal mysteries, they're made it clear yet again, they're not going to fill the position.
Delegate Lehman, I believe, has her hand up. I'll turn it over to her.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. No, I think Delegate Howard summarized it, or we were trying to convey that we think that that's important for school board to have staff, how essential constituent services are, and that this is a tool they need to help them better represent their constituents. And I'm going to say, as a non-Anne Arundel County resident and somebody that at one time worked exclusively on education issues for a county council member in Prince George's, I don't know how somebody would effectively be a school board member in any jurisdiction in this state, from the largest to the smallest, without staff to help them with family issues, with individual student issues, PTA concerns, school staff concerns. It runs the gamut. And you know this very well, Mr. Chairman. So I think what we were just trying to convey is that we do think this is very important. We didn't say, in our opinion, you must hire 3 or you must hire 2. We just pointed out the history that, this 1 or more positions have been put in the budget over a couple of fiscal years, at least 2, and this would make the 3rd, where it's in the budget, out of the budget, in the budget, out of the budget. And we would like it for FY 2026 for at least 1 of these positions to remain in the budget. And if I might, Mr. Chairman, it seems to me, and this is just my gut, is that there is, for some folks, and, I don't know if the county executive is one of them. I don't know who was on this list, but it seems like there's some difficulty in Anne Arundel for some people making this switch in their mind from an entirely appointed school board to an elected school board. An elected school board is different than an appointed school board. The voters are going to hold them accountable to how responsive they are, to how helpful they are in solving their problems, their children's, whether it's an issue with their kids' IEP or the bus is late every day, whatever that might look like. That's what we were trying to convey with this letter. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I believe Delegate Bagnall and then Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm in total agreement. I just couldn't remember if we had resolved. There was a question around, I think, special education language, and so I wasn't sure what the final bill language was as we're taking the vote. So if we could just have some clarity, because I think the delegation is in agreement that that this continues to be an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, Delegate Bagnall. I believe the special education piece was removed, and this is constituent services only. Again, that would include special ed issues, but it's a general position, and I'm sure the sponsor would correct me if I'm wrong, to see what's there. But Delegate Bartlett, I believe, was next.
Real quick, so the bill has not been voted out, and it is not with Ways and Means. We held it for this purpose. Is that what's going on?
Correct. A letter was requested as the delegation to get a response. The response was had, and now we're discussing what to do with the bill.
Okay,
But
so it is.
Honestly, we were trying to kind of do a solid, right, to the county executive and say, hey, listen, this is important to us. What do you plan to do? And, it's come back again, and now we're going to move the bill.
Okay, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Again, this is HB 1275. There had been prior action except the letter, and now there's a motion to move it favorable. We have a properly moved motion and second. I believe if any further discussion, to see any hands. Okay, Mr. Secretary, could you please take the roll call on a favorable report for HB 1275?
You're on mute, Roger.
Mr. Secretary, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, we're moving the letter with the bill?
We are moving the bill.
The bill.
A favorable report.
Just the bill, okay. All right, so this vote on 14 March 2025, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Constituent Services Liaison, HB 1275. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke, Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick, Delegate Congolo, Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote of 11-0, with 4 absent and 1 excused, the motion passes.
We can get a letter sent to the committee.
Yes, Mr. Secretary, the request is to get a letter sent to the committee ASAP.
We
Thank
will
you.
do that.
Thank you.
Okay. One other remaining piece of business before we hear our next bill is a reconsideration of HB 1467. If you can recall, the delegation submitted a favorable report. It was the local finance special taxing district bill, erosion prevention projects, and erosion control projects. There were some amendments that were discussed and added as the bill was presented in committee. And I'm going to let the sponsor again
Sure.
discuss kind of where we're at with it.
Sure.
And then we'd have to have a motion to reconsider and then obviously discuss the amendments.
Yep.
Delegate Howard.
Okay, so do you want me to make the motion to reconsider and then discuss, or you want to just right into
Well, maybe
the...
give a little background so everyone knows kind of the status and then, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is the Special Erosion Control District bill. It moved forward. It's great. It really is. It's a great bill. It allows use of funds that are collected by communities for erosion control, and that are out lined up against the Chesapeake Bay. As it moved forward, working with Ethan Hunt and the office of the County Office of Law, we needed to tweak some of the language in the amendment. Plus, we needed to remove. When it first came in, it was a state bill, and then it changed to a local bill, and then we had a delegate sign on as a co-sponsor at the state level, so I also removed him. You should have an amendments in your packet. Amendment number 1. We've changed under number 1. It says the entity administering a shore erosion control district. That's from the County Office of Law. Absolutely accept that amendment. It's because it becomes less prescriptive. And then the entity, sorry, I can't read this morning either. The entity administering a shore erosion control district shall conduct a public hearing, of course. And this subject applies to any existing shoreline erosion control project within the district, regardless of the initial source of funding. And that's really what they're after. They kind of basically they're at a juxtaposition where to apply for grants for these construction projects, they need to get to their funds, and they can't get to their funds to apply for the grants. So that's what we're trying to fix. And this was all drawn up with Ethan Hunt and the office, the County Office of Law.
Okay.
Yep.
And my understanding again, since we sent a prior email, but now there's amendments, we need a motion to reconsider the bill. And then we can discuss the amendments, and that could be a voice vote, but is there a motion to reconsider HB 1467?
Motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay. There's a second. Any discussion on that motion? Delegate Lehman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Delegate Howard, for your work on this bill. Am I correct? Because I looked over a couple bills that are coming back to E&T soon, local bills. Is this the bill that also goes from being a statewide bill to a local bill?
Yes.
it does. Okay, I didn't think you had mentioned that, but thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. So yeah, and I did, but it was like for like 2 seconds. So yeah, and that's why essentially, and I'm not going to name the delegate, 'cause, Kevin Hornberger, but that's why he co-sponsored it with me. And then when it became local, we just got to kick him off too. Not to be mean, we love Kevin, but as a local bill, he's got to be dropped, and that's one of the amendments.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Lehman, and thank you for the clarification. So again, we have a motion on the floor that's been properly moved and seconded to reconsider 1467. This is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record note that we now have a reconsideration for HB 1467, and we have two amendments on that bill. I believe Delegate Howard explained them. I don't know if you want to make a motion to approve both, or I'll leave it up to you, Delegate Howard, if there's any questions.
I would like to make a motion to approve all the amendments and move the bill, quite frankly. Yeah.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion to add Amendment 1 and Amendment 2 to the bill as shown here on the screen? Again, just to kind of summarize, moving it to a local bill and the clarification made by the delegate about what particularly is included in the erosion control bill. And I do believe we have the county exec's office, Ethan Hunt. Did you want to confirm that everything is fine?
Yep. I've worked with Delegate Howard and Robin in his office, who probably knows far more about shore erosion control districts than we ever wanted to know at this point, going back and forth on the language. But yeah, we're good.
Thank you for that brief testimony and your economy of words. All right. Any further questions? So we have Delegate Bartlett.
Just a really quick question for Ethan, I think, or maybe the bill sponsor on the amendment where we speak of at section 3, project within the district, and above where we talk about providing the entity administering a shore erosion control district. We have clearly defined by district, we're speaking only of the shore erosion control district, so that is clear.
Yes, that's my belief, and that language comes directly from the county office of law, and that's part of, we had in there, it was something, and I forget what the old amendment said, but it was something to the effect of the subdivision of a shore erosion control, and we changed it per the county office of law to the entity administering, because not everybody operates under a subdivision. It's something like that, and it was a little bit more broad as far as the entity language, but we needed that because there is other shoreline erosion control districts in Anne Arundel County, and not all of them are operating under the as a subdivision.
Yeah, that's correct. I'll just add that the county code specifically defines who administers these districts, and it has to be the community or civic association that's incorporated for that district.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Bartlett. Is there any further questions? I'm trying to see. Okay, again, we have a motion on the floor. This is properly moved and seconded to add the amendment number 1 and amendment number 2 to 1467. Mr. Secretary, could you please take the roll?
All right, this vote is for the amendments only, or the bill with the amendments?
The bill with the amendments.
All right, this vote is for House Bill 1467, local finance, special taxing districts, erosion prevention projects, and erosion control projects, with amendment number 343526/1 and amendment 823425/1 on 14 March 2025. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke, Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick, Delegate Congolo, Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Schmidt,
Schmidt, yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote 11-0, with 4 absent and one excused. The motion passes.
We can get an updated letter to the committee. That would be great.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And if I may, for 10 seconds, thank everyone, because I know there was a lot of back and forth, especially you, Mr. Chair. But I know there was a lot of back and forth and what about this and what about that? And, and so everybody's patience on this, it was extremely important. And I really, really cannot tell, I really appreciate everybody coming together, getting this done. And I really appreciate it. And I wanted to publicly thank everyone on the committee and especially you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Howard. Appreciate that. We are now going to move forward. We have the original hearing on HB 1531, Anne Arundel County actions to repossess for failure to pay rent summons. I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Simmons as he is the lead sponsor on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank the membership. Once again, we're coming to you with the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Department with a request for action for repossession of failure to pay rent. I would tell you over the course of this bill, I've had the opportunity to meet with the superior officers of the Sheriff's Department about their capacity and their workload, along with some of the things that they're trying to change as they grow the department and move it forward. I had the opportunity to see them out here twice. The Sheriff's Department was out last week working the halls, and also this week to make sure that we have all necessary questions and answers for what is taking place here. Obviously, we see the demand of the Sheriff's Department as they're now required to be in every courtroom as a result of incidents that are taking place with our judges. They look to continue to grow their department. We have on the line here today Sheriff Sesker with his command staff. So I'm going to turn it over to him to give you a briefing and some background to his request for us to move the bill. Sheriff Sesker.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair, and thank the rest of the delegation for hearing me at this moment. I am under James Williams. I had technical difficulties in my office, so I am sitting in his seat today. He's here. I have some other members of my staff on the line as well. Taking into consideration time, this bill will allow us to do basically two things. It'll allow me to put people in the vital areas that I need them, and that includes my sworn personnel and my civilian personnel. As most of you know, most agencies are short. We've worked very hard to fulfill our vacancies. We have started with 20 vacancies, and once we get our next academy class through, we'll probably be down to about 4. But the history of this department, we're still going to be short. We're about 60 deputies down. We should have probably a total of about 160 deputies. What this bill will do is it will allow us to save the county money. Right now, this bill, right now we spend about close to $274,000 in expenses alone, just in putting up tack-ups. For those of you who are not aware, the tack-ups are basically you're late on your rent. I've spoken to a member of Core Property Management, and they provide the same service. He told me that they make phone calls, they mail late notices, and then the sheriff's office come back and provide the same service. It also is a wear and tear on our vehicles. We probably dedicate about 1,700 miles a month on our vehicles. I have 3 civilian personnel that are dedicated just to doing these tack-ups. We do about 30 hours a month in overtime for tack-ups. This will be a cost saving to the county, and it will allow me to put these dedicated personnel in other positions to deal with the more than 10,000 warrants that we have on file. We also serve about another 5,000 civil citations, including domestic violence paperwork as well. These tack-ups right now for the year, we've done about 6,300 of them, tacking them up on people's doors. So if you have any questions or any concerns about it, please ask me. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Sheriff Sesker. It looks like Delegate Chisholm has a question or comment.
Real quick comment, more point of personal privilege. I've got HB 229, I think Delegate Simmons knows about, that went into judiciary, was cross-filed with Dawn Guile. In that bill is the portion that says that after 10 days, if the Sheriff's Department can't actually serve that summons for a late rent, that they could use a process server. I'm assuming, Delegate Simmons, we could actually just amend yours or make sure my bill gets amended to match yours for Anne Arundel County. I just want to put that in your ear just in case it comes up today and we get that moved out of judiciary, because I do understand. That's why I put it in my bill this year and last year, because I do understand all the pressures and the stress that the sheriff's department's having with trying to serve all of this paperwork. Not that it's not important, but I know you have other really more important stuff that you probably need to be focusing on. So just wanted to leave that with you.
Thank you. You said HB 229?
It's HB 229, yes. And Don
Okay,
Dial
thank you.
did the cross file.
All right.
Thank you, Delegate Chisholm. Delegate Bagnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is just a procedural question, because I was looking at the bill and I saw in the existing code that it speaks to the district court telling the constable or sheriff to send first class mail. Do we know, is the district court do they have a standard practice of issuing first class mail?
Yeah. They currently do that now. It's a current practice. What is happening is that the sheriff's department was an additional layer when they was going out. So when someone files, they get a response in the mail. So the clerk's office sends out something in the mail. Then there's a tack up by the sheriff's department. The property managers also put notices on the door and contact constituents. So it's like a duplication of services, probably 4 or 5 times over.
Thank you. So direct, that was the word I was looking for. Direct to
Yeah.
the constable. Okay,
Yep.
so they do actually issue it as well. They're not just
Absolutely.
issuing direction to this. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And one of the conversations was, in addition, was about, other ways. There's emails with people that are doing these rental properties or other type of alternative ways of working with property managers to get out information about late rent.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any further questions? I actually have a question. I know, and I appreciate Sheriff Seska for dropping by, but I had someone drop by. And again, I am not in judiciary, so I don't have the background for how this processes work. So I appreciate you sharing. What if there's a peace order between the landlord and tenant? And in the law, we're saying that you can't do that even though you have a third-party processor. Does that cause any issues? Again, I just wanted to make sure, because I know we're kind of telling somebody, well, you got to hire a third-party and then the cost of that. Is there a cost for them doing that, or they already do it? I'm just trying to understand how that current process works.
I have Captain Rhodes on the line. Captain Rhodes, can you answer that?
The Delegate Pruski.
Yeah.
In regard to a peace order, that's a completely different issue than the late rent notice. The late rent notices, currently the landlord or the property owner pay $5 a paper for us to go out and serve. So the sheriff alluded earlier to his presentation that currently it's costing the county approximately $270,000 a year. Well, if you figure up the amount that we do per year, which is around 30,000 and sometimes $5, works out to be about $152,000 that the county's getting back. So we're losing quite a bit of money in that regard.
And let me just add on to it, Delegate, the 270 some thousand that I gave, that was a very low conservative estimate, because I looked at an entry-level deputy. The majority of my people here are experienced deputies coming from other agencies and things, so that's a very conservative estimate.
Thank you for answering that question. And then just one more as a follow-up. Are other states, other counties have this procedure? And again, I understand the argument. I just want to make sure if there's been a example where this is led and that we're good with that. Do we know of any other folks that are following that procedure?
As far as we know, Baltimore County uses constables and Wacomico County uses constables in their deputies. But also remember that they're smaller populations. They don't have as many to put up that we do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Also, could I
Yes,
say
sir. Go ahead.
another thing, please? In regard to Delegate Chisholm's bill that he currently has submitted. I think he said he has, his language says within 10 days, if the deputies haven't been able to serve, that they could then in turn turn it over to a civil process server. The problem is in the current law, when these late rent notices are issued, it's a 5-day turnaround period, 5 business day turnaround period from the date that the judge signs the order. Meaning we have 5 days to get the paper served and returned to the courts.
And here's another thing for that as well. If the judge signs it on a Friday, although we do have a communication section that's 24/7, the majority of our staff is not. So we've lost 2 days on Saturday and Sunday.
That's why my point was that if Gary wanted to, or Delegate Simmons wanted to amend his onto my bill to address that, that's fine with me.
Okay, are there any further questions or discussions for HB 1531? Okay, and Delegate Simmons, I don't know, has the hearing been scheduled yet for the bill? 'Cause I know
No, so at the request of Chair Clippinger, he asked that once we voted out of our committee, that a letter be sent to him, and then he will have us hear it in our committee. So he's just waiting on us to take action before judiciary. But he took it out of rules, so it's available. You want to have a motion to suspend the rules and vote on it today? Absolutely. Make a motion that we suspend the rules and vote
Second.
on. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to suspend the rules to move HB 1531 and I'm assuming a favorable report. Is that the amendment?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion on the suspension of the rules to move that forward? Because first we have to vote on the suspension, then we vote on the favorable, if I'm correct. So
Yeah.
Motion to suspend the rules. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll on the suspension of the rules?
This motion is to suspend the rules for HB 1531. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke, Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick, Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers, Delegate Rogers, Delegate Smith, Chair Pruski,
Yes.
Delegate Schmidt is a yes.
okay, got it. Delegate Rogers, one more time. All right. Chair Pruski, by a vote of 11-0, with 4 absent and 1 excused, suspend rules is approved.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the bill now that the rules have been suspended for a favorable report?
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion on HB 1531? And again, the motions for a favorable report? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote on 14 March 2025 for HB 1531, Anne Arundel County actions to repossess for failure to pay rent summons. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke, Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick, Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers, Delegate Smith,
Schmidt, yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, by a vote of 11-0 with 4 absent and 1 excuse. The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you for everyone's patience. I do know that, just for the record, some delegates have subcommittees and other meetings to go to, but we're going to continue with our program and schedule. We have the fire chief here from Anne Arundel County, Chief Wolford, and we certainly want to, and I also want to welcome, I know Senator Henson joined us. I didn't see anybody else from the Senate delegation, want to recognize that she's here as well. But Chief Wolford, I'll turn it over for you, and we give you about 5 minutes to provide an update, and welcome to the Anne Arundel County delegation.
Thank you. Good morning. It's nice to see everyone, especially a lot of faces that I get to work with. So I appreciate that. I won't take all of your 5 minutes. I'll give you a quick rundown of the department, which is actually doing very well. So Anne Arundel County Fire Department is a combination fire department. There are 3 types of fire departments in the country: all career, all volunteer, or combination. And I believe we are very lucky that we are a combination department. So the rundown of our staffing is there are about 1,000 career firefighters in the county. We have anywhere between 300 and 500 operational riding volunteers, depending on the riding list. And then we have about 900 administrative volunteers, which are not riding forward facing. They're the ones that do the company work in the background at the volunteer company houses. We also have numerous, we're about at 38 dispatchers for our 911 center. And then, of course, we have our staff that supports everything from the background, that does all of the paperwork and gets none of the glory of running the calls. So it's a very large organization. We run about 100,000 calls a year. Our dispatch center alone takes in 4 times as many calls, because we know we get people that call redundantly for a car accident or a house fire or things along those lines. So we are an incredibly busy system. There are 31 firehouses in the county, along with 5 bureau offices. Some of the main things that we've been working on in the 7 years I have been here as chief. I am in my 7th year as fire chief, and every year gets better and better. Just as you all know, there's challenging times, but that truly doesn't make the work that we do less fulfilling or less rewarding. So some of the things we're continuing to work on and that you might see around the county is our infrastructure. A lot of the firehouses were really old, so we are replacing them and rebuilding them. Probably the newest one coming out of the ground for those of you that are around Sunrise Beach and Generals Highway, that's Station 6 Crownsville. We have a couple others in the queue that we'll be working on: Cape Sinclair, Jessup, and then most recently Galesville, Jacobsville, that have been completed projects. We are continuing to always work on staffing. Our minimum staffing right now is 3 person on a piece of apparatus. We would like to get to the national level of staffing, which is 4. This also means that we continue to build in our paramedic ranks. Those are advanced life support providers in the community. And then apparatus. When I came in, our apparatus fleet was depleted. We had no reserve fleet in good standing. Apparatus is good for 25 years. And we actually move it into reserve fleet much sooner than that, so it can continue to serve the community when a piece goes down for maintenance. So those are probably the top 3 priorities. I'll just say very quickly, there'll be notification of when we do grand openings for firehouses that hopefully you all will see as you follow on our social media. So please get on our social media platforms. That's where we put those announcements to the public. So any fire station grand opening. And then probably the most exciting thing recently is we've brought in 2 new fire boats, 65-foot metal shark fire boats, to serve a majority of the community, because we have so many peninsulas and so much water, excuse me, where we see a lot of our community have their recreation. So once we have our second boat in, which should be about in the next 2 months, we'll be down at Sandy Point in the summer to do a christening of the fleet, which will be the first time the fire department, to my knowledge, has ever done that. So again, all of that will be on our social media. Please follow the fire department on any social media platform. With that, I'll open for any questions to make sure I can have time for you all to answer whatever you like or speak on any topic.
Thank you, Chief Wolford. We always appreciate you and appreciate the department. I know that the services you provide are crucial to Anne Arundel County. And of course, I worked with you prior as a council member and continue that great work. So we thank you. Vice Chair Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Chief, welcome once again, and thank you. I represent Northern Anne Arundel County in the North Lithicum, Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park area. My question to you is, I've had the opportunity to visit several of the firehouses up in the Northern District to try to assess how we can be helping better to make sure that we're uplifting and supporting the fire department. Can you talk a little bit about your capabilities and also any type of modern updates that y'all need to make to the departments? For example, sleeping quarters, apparatus, equipment, things of that nature. Also, mutual aid. Talking with my Baltimore City folks right to the north of us, they talked about the fact that Anne Arundel County no longer can respond into Baltimore City because we're not meeting the number of firefighters on the truck, which you said is the national standard is 4. I think we're sending people out at 3, so they're no longer accepting Anne Arundel County to back them up on fire calls and what we can do to help. I think at the end of the day, us as a delegation, we're about advocating for the department. Y'all do some amazing work. You have some amazing membership, and we want to make sure that we're supporting. And do your department allow for private donations to the fire department from corporations?
Well, that's numerous questions. Let me make sure I can hit them all. Let me start with the most interesting piece, Delegate Simmons, is the part that we are not allowed to go to Baltimore City. That's pretty disheartening to hear because that's not true. And that's incredibly disheartening because I have a very good relationship with the chief over there, which that's never come to my attention. And again, I would say it is again disheartening because we do a tremendous amount to cover their staffing where they seem to be misplaced in some of their staffing efforts. So we are very good partners. We spend a lot of time in the city. Mutual aid is being a good partner and being a good neighbor, and we do it with every jurisdiction around us. We do it with the jurisdictions within us, Fort Meade, Naval Academy, and Annapolis City. So I would love for if you have the opportunity to email of where that information is coming from. And we can certainly run calls just in Anne Arundel County because those northern communities, we could serve them day in and day out. But I believe in being a good brother or sister to my neighbor. So that has nothing to do with staffing. I would say our staffing models are where they need to be from the improvements since I've got here. Would I love to get to 4? Absolutely. And that's something that we are continuing to work on. But I don't believe that to be a true statement that I'm aware of. And I watch the calls come out and we continue to go to the city regularly for medicals and fire calls. So I'd be interested to see where that is. I'll park that on the side because clearly you can see that irritates me, considering we are such a helpful agency to our neighbors. The northern part of your district in your area is incredibly busy, but you have some of the strongest companies. If there is an ask, the ask would be that we continue to rebuild our apparatus fleet. The wear and tear is tremendous for all of our companies, but particularly the northern companies. And we need a variety. That's the one of the big differences about Anne Arundel County. The northern part of the county is heavy hydrant. The southern part and some of the eastern part of the county is a mix of hydrant and drafting tanks or open water. So the complement of resources up north, lots of ladder trucks because we have taller structures, engines, pumper tankers, and lots of transport units, which are ALS and BLS. And then when you get down south and to the east is when we tend to need pumper tankers, engines. Not that we don't need the ladder trucks, but again, the geography makes a difference. So my ask would be that we continue to fund apparatus, which is not cheap. Unfortunately, that's a bit of a large national game right now. The average ladder truck costs over $2 million. And the average cost for an engine right now is $1.7 million. So it's not cheap, but again, they'll stay frontline for about 12 years, and then they move into a reserve fleet from the 12 to 25-year mark. What question am I missing? I'm sorry, I've gotten 2 out of the 3, I think.
I think the other one was about private funding. Do y'all allow for private donations, private funding to the department?
Public-private partnership. Yes. Yes, I'm always interested in that conversation. There's certainly ways we can apply that, whether it comes to wrapping a piece of apparatus or marketing, or there's been lots of discovery of how this actually works. Right now, the Community Foundation is the #1 place that we take donations, and then we use that donations. It all comes in through Anne Arundel County, and then we use that donation to buy smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors and things along those lines. Every piece of apparatus has those in there. When we go on a medical call, we have the crews looking to make sure that that's in there. If it's not in a home, then we're putting it in when we finish the medical call. So it's things like that that adds up to thousands and thousands of dollars a year that we could be using for good community outreach and public education, which prevention is the #1 thing that we hope our community knows. We don't want them to be in the emergency. We want to prevent the emergency.
Outstanding. Thank you. And I'll follow up with your office.
Thank you, sir. I would greatly appreciate that.
Chief Wolford, I don't think there's any other questions. I do want to say on behalf of the delegation, thank you again for stopping by, providing the update. I know that if any delegate wanted to reach out and had a question, related to a firehouse, positions, I know you've been very helpful with that, and I encourage you. But again, we appreciate you coming in, give us that update, letting us know what the resources that are needed, what's happening, and we always appreciate you. I'll take Delegate Bagnall, and then we need to move on to our next speaker. Delegate Bagnall.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to say thank you, Chief Wolford, and tell you that we had the updated language in our committee so that we will be updating the codes to reflect the Firefighters Association of Maryland. So thank you so much for all of your work on that.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the work that you all do to support the department, but more specifically to support the health and wellness of my firefighters. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Delegate Bagnall, and we appreciate you coming here today. We do have one last presentation. I want to remind everybody for time. We do have floor at 10 o'clock today for the House, so we want to keep moving on, and we want to thank Valerie Monroe for her patience. I know she's been waiting, and we appreciate you coming. Valerie is with our DLS, provide us a state aid briefing for Anne Arundel County. So Valerie, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Delegate. And I just want to say thanks again to the Anne Arundel County delegation. So today I'm going to be doing a short presentation on the County Revenue Outlook Report because the state aid information that we presented on our website, the information that was contained therein, what reflected the budget as introduced. So as of this moment, we do not have an update. So I'm going to just provide a brief presentation on the County Revenue Outlook Report. Can I have access to share screen?
Mr. Secretary, is there a way to share a screen or?
No, we.
Okay, that's fine. So
We do
I'm going to
that.
just talk about the County Revenue Outlook Report briefly. We did send copies of the report. So the County Revenue Outlook Report basically provides a snapshot of the fiscal health of county governments in Maryland. And the revenue estimates are for fiscal 23 through fiscal 25 and are obtained primarily from each county government's adopted budget for the current fiscal year. So in our report, I'm going to just emphasize the property taxes and the income taxes. And basically, Anne Arundel County has an above average per capita assessable base, which is currently the 8th highest in the state. That is their property assessable base. And in addition to that, the county imposes a below average property tax rate at 0.9830 per 100 of assessed value. In addition to that, Anne Arundel County's local property tax revenues averages $1,652 per capita, which is slightly below the statewide average of $1,744. Anne Arundel County is projected to collect around $982.3 million in property tax revenues in fiscal 25, and this represents a $104.1 million increase over the 2-year period. Anne Arundel County is also anticipating a 5.8 average annual increase in property tax revenues over the 2-year period, which exceeds the statewide average of 5.2%. So just a quick highlight on the local income taxes for Anne Arundel County. Anne Arundel County has an above average per capita net taxable income, which is currently the 5th highest in the state. In addition to that, currently 13 jurisdictions impose a maximum local income tax rate of 3.2%. Anne Arundel County and Frederick County has adopted graduated income tax rates under the authority granted by the General Assembly in 2021. Currently, the county imposes a maximum 3.2% income tax rate on high income earners. In addition to that, local income tax revenues for Anne Arundel County averages $1,245 per capita, with Anne Arundel County averaging above at $1,380 per capita. And this is due to the county having a higher net taxable income base within the county. And finally, Anne Arundel County is estimated to collect $820.3 million in income tax revenues. This is an increase of $30.6 million, or an average annual increase of 1.9% over the 2-year period. And this compares to a statewide decrease of 0.3%. I know that was really quick, but if you have any questions concerning this, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are more than happy to assist you. Thanks again.
Thank you, Valerie. And I believe that Arnold and Hiram are here today for your support. I just want to recognize you guys, appreciate everything that you do, because I know sometimes, besides Valerie behind the scenes, DLS does great work. And I just want to thank you. So we're giving you kudos and appreciate you guys. Looks like Vice Chair Simmons has a quick question.
I just want to ask if they can send out that slide presentation that they was not able to present to us so we can get it out to the membership.
Most certainly. I did send it. I will resend it again.
We have it. We'll make sure.
Okay.
everybody
All right.
gets
Thank
it.
you. All right.
Awesome. All right. Any further questions for Valerie and the team? Again, I cannot say enough for DLS, the work that they do, because when you talk about people and civil servants doing their job and you know, helping us do our great work, thank you all. We appreciate you, and thank you for that. And we will send the report to the delegates. And can we reach out to you, Valerie, if there are any questions?
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Awesome.
Delegate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no further business, is there any other items need to be brought in front of the delegation today? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a
So
second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you all. Appreciate your patience and getting through today. And as always, thank our secretary and our staff and others that supported this. And I hope you all have a great day, a great weekend, and I will see many of you on the floor